offensive line coach TJ Woods. And Coach, we'll start real quick with Baylor. Your thoughts on the defensive front that Baylor has and the challenge they pose to the offensive line?
Well, I mean, I think they're a talented group, long, athletic. They've definitely recruited well, and they're sound. Coach Aranda's as good as there is in this profession, and he's got them playing well and doing a great job against the run. They get after the passer. They've got schemes that make you think for sure, and keep you on eggshells a little bit up front, and does a heck of a job. So it'll be a big test for us.
When you mention that they're playing well, your offensive line's playing well too, and one of those guys that I don't think got enough credit from the outside was Bruce Mitchell, and it sounded like you guys graded him as a star of the week. What went into that assessment, and what did you see on film from Bruce in that starting right guard spot?
Well, I think the biggest compliment we all gave Bruce was nobody noticed he was in there, and I think that's the biggest thing. As a backup or as the next guy up, you have to have that mentality that there will be no drop-off, that we just go on about our business as usual. And I think that's exactly what happened. Bruce did a tremendous job. No moment's too big for Bruce. He's just such a good kid, such a great joy to coach, to be honest. He's the same guy every time, whether it's in front of 65,000 people at night or whether we're out here at practice doing our thing. So he did a tremendous job, and we're really proud of him.
Last year he was a D tackle. When you got here to BYU, did you look at something in Bruce and maybe recommend that change, or was that Kalani saying let's get him over to offensive line? What went into that change?
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly credit the other staff members on that more than myself. I didn't really have a long history with these guys to be able to notice that, but we were down some numbers in the spring, and we looked hard at our roster and see who we thought that could add some value on the offensive line. Bruce's name came up, and I was all for it, and but I credit those defensive coaches honestly to recognize that he could be a good offensive lineman, and they were right. He's doing a good job.
Bruce is pretty strong too. I remember when he was coming out as a recruit. I mean, he's a small two-way football, but really strong athlete. What can you say about Leausa and Mocassini? Are they expected to be back this week?
Yeah, we'll see. They're still day to day. We're trying to work through some of that and see where they're going to be at. But no matter who'll be in there, they'll be ready.
How do you feel about the overall depth that is coming along on the offensive line right now? It feels like the top five, despite the changing at the last couple weeks at right guard. Starting lineup seems kind of set, but how do you feel about the depth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling better and better every week. I think the biggest thing during the season, early in the season, it's about getting your starters ready to play. And the stress of that, I think, is high for a coach in that setting. But as the season progresses, the real challenge is to shrink the gap between the twos and the ones, right? And hopefully what you find is there's still development happening throughout the season, even though we're game planning, even though that we're focused on our opponent and all those things. But I think it's important as an offensive line coach to make sure that you're still focusing on the actual development of the players, because there's a lot that goes into it at our position. And I think if you lose sight of that, then you can look up and have some players that might not be quite ready. So really straining. Those guys have been straining, and we've been putting a lot of pressure on them to make sure, just because they're not out there on Saturdays playing, that they're one snap away, just like Bruce was, to be able to go and get in there and get going.
Are there segments in practice in a game week that you guys maybe carve out to maybe give those opportunities for development? Because when you think about this week, you had a late night football game, a 10 a.m. kick on Saturday. When is the time to maybe create those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, we separate the reps during our team period, so the twos get several reps. The individual, all the twos get all the same individual drills. And then, we have something in offensive line. They're actually doing it out there right now, but we call it opportunity period. So there's extra work available for the young offensive linemen to continue to develop. And that's, we call it opportunity period because it's their opportunity to get better.
And some of those guys, just to kind of follow up on maybe the opportunities that they're having each and every day, how are they progressing? Like Trevin Osler, Caden Chichester, Isaiah Jota, just maybe speak to some of those guys.
Yeah, all three of those guys are coming along. They're improving. The development piece is something that sometimes it's a slow progression, right? It's I always say you can't microwave offensive linemen. Sometimes it takes some time, and a lot of that honestly has to do with our strength staff and their development in the weight room. They're in that process too right now. They're going through in a developmental group in our weight room, getting stronger. So I'm pleased with where they're at. I'm pleased with their progress and their attitude for sure.
When you mentioned the microwave offensive lineman, I remember we talked about that over at Provo High in March in spring ball, and I feel like this starting five though is microwaving a pretty good group. I want to ask you about Caleb. What's impressed you so far from Caleb in this first quarter or the third of the season?
Well, I think his work ethic. He comes to practice every single day. He's very intentional about what he does and how he approaches his preparation, his practice, and his performance. Right, all three of those. I think that's what I've been the most impressed with him about. He's a pro. He trains like a pro. And he's got aspirations of that, right? And so that's what we're all trying to help him achieve.
And pro scouts come through here, and I got to imagine they're probably looking at Caleb because he's got the measurements now. He's put on good film.
Yeah, they're looking at a lot of those guys up front, to be honest. So we got several guys I think have a real shot. So just got to keep developing and keep getting better.
I want to ask you about Connor Pay and where has he continued to improve? Because he's been a veteran and he's seen a lot in his BYU career, but just how do you think he's evolved in his final season now here at BYU?
Yeah, I think he's growing in his physicality. He's as smart a football player I've ever coached. He's like having a coach out on the field, which makes us look like good coaches a lot of the time. But force output, knocking people off the ball, playing with pad level, driving through contact, finishing, those type of things have been his areas of growth, right? And I think he's made progress this season. I thought at the K-State game, they were playing an odd front. He was covered the whole time, and he did a really good job, really good. So I'm hoping that he can springboard that performance here and start stacking some games of some physical O-line play, because he's definitely got it in himself.
Is Baylor more an even front or odd front? What's kind of the tendencies of Baylor?
They mix it up, yeah. Coach Aranda's he's going to keep you guessing for sure. So
he definitely does. And then the last thing, you brought up the K-State game. Last question for you. I hate to go back because you're neck deep in Baylor week, but your just thoughts on the atmosphere and that experience. First season here at BYU, but your thoughts on that experience, that sellout crowd in K-State, just the environment. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was pretty electric. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been in some big time environments in my career. And that's right up there with any experience I've ever had. Just how the kids were able to feed off the energy. It was electric, man. It's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Well, it's good to talk with you. It's always electric conversation with you, Coach Woods. And best of luck this week in Waco, and continued success the rest of the season.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.